Ladies and gentlemen, I'm yours truly, the legend himself, Labzy, aka the best motherfucker you ever met in the history of your life, and I can prove it too, even though I shouldn't. The most loyal, the most honest, and the most respected. Now, what a way to end 2024. It has been an amazing year. I mean, there was a moment where, I did have a friend who passed away, and back in June of this year. So I did have my mourn. I had my moment where I, said what I needed to say, and then, we had to keep going because life goes on, as we all know. So, but other than that, things have been absolutely incredible. Not just from the show, but obviously with things going on outside of the show. And it's incredible. And again, what a way to end it with my final guest of the year.
Real talk with Labzy, we speaking the truth, from the streets to the booth, giving voice to the groove, no holding back, every combo's the proof, it's the realest in the game, now we raising the roof. Real talk with Labzy, 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 real talk with Labzy, 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 real talk with Labzy, 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 real talk with Labzy.
What a way to end 2024 with my last guest. She is an educator. She's a creator. She's a rapper herself, and she loves to bring hip hop to children, to really educate them, and really just do it in a way where it's fun. And to be honest with you, I've never seen any of this before. So why not, have her as the last guest for the year and really just, be educated myself into what she does. Cause I just feel like, she loves what she does. So ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you FemCee. Hello, FemCee. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm blessed. First of all, thank you for coming on here, for taking the time to be on here.
Thank you.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I love what you do. I love how you bring hip hop to children, to really educate them and really turn it into fun, basically. And again, like I was just saying in the intro, where, I've never seen any of this before. And that's why I wanted to really get you on here to really just help me understand, how do you do it? But we'll get into that a little bit later. But I do want to go into your little origin story first on how did music come to you? Was it a part of, was it always been a part of, in the family to you? Or did you always enjoy poetry? Like, speak on that. Like, how did music come to you?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the intro. Awesome. Well, music has always been a big part of my life. I didn't grow up in a musical family per se. However, I spent a big period of time, about 10 years, traveling with a former partner and making music all over the world. We used to travel and busk all around the world, and he would beatbox into a loop pedal and create all sorts of multi-genres, soundscapes, layering, as you do with the vocal process, with a loop pedal and an effects pedal. And I would have a little effects pedal as well, just to add a bit of reverb and delay, and I would basically rap. So he would create the track and rap, and then I'd come in, would do some ad-libs and blah, blah, blah. And really, if I'm honest, like, the gateway back into music was through him. Even though that relationship's over, and even though it was a very tumultuous relationship and one that I'd rather forget sooner rather than later, when I look at the lessons, when I look at what I'm grateful for within that relationship dynamic, it was the fact that he opened my eyes to music again. And so he would, like, at the time when we met, which was many, many years ago now, he would picked me up at the time I was working in kinder as a kindergarten teacher, which, you know, goes into the whole flavor of like working with kids. I've worked with kids and I've worked in music for a really long period of time, and it just amalgamated together. So yeah, he would pick me up from kindergarten on his longboard, and he'd longboard me back home. He is Australian, but he met me in the UK, which is where we started our European busking journey together. And then he would like beatbox whilst he was on the longboard, and he'd be like, rap your nursery rhymes that you've just done in school. And I'd rap them, and he's like, you know, you've got a flavour for rap. And it organically happened. And then we made a nursery rhyme album together, but it was like more like, you know, jazz, drum and bass, hip hop, you know, I would call like a more underground music. And yeah, and then we traveled, we did some of the major festivals all over the world. Like I'm really lucky. Like I got to visit 32 countries doing music with him. You know, I would get, you know, paid to go around the world and do, you know, I went to random places in Russia and Latvia and like all over Eastern Europe. It was really crazy. It was a good part of my life. And so, yeah, that was all music. And I was doing kids music, but I was also doing adults music. So I was always like doing little raps about like, you know, being positive, not just about being positive, because obviously that is not the spectrum of life, but I would bring more of the colorful side of things, and he'd be more on the political kind of like, you know, political kind of like deep, dark, heavier topics, and I'd be more on the lighter, fluffier topics. And then we complemented each other quite well in our lyrical content and also in our lyrical style. He would sing as well, and I would sing, and our voices also complemented each other. So that was probably it. And then an important part that I'd like to say is that when that relationship ended, because it was an abusive dynamic, it was a very tumultuous relationship, then I actually rejected music for a while because my musical identity was connected to him. And so at that period of time, I've obviously had to work through the layers. And so I mean, first of all, I couldn't listen to any of the music we made together. I actually just really I couldn't perform, I couldn't rap. Like I was so guarded around it. I had like, you know, I could physically feel where it felt heavy and dense, like in my throat where I hadn't spoken up and all of those things. And so it took quite a while to come round back. And then eventually I found my voice again, which I'm grateful. But, you know, you've got to go through the layers, and often you have to go through the shit in order to find the diamonds in the dirt, you know? So yeah, there's
of course you have to try find, you know, you have to basically kind of start again, but from experience, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know, and then now we're kind of reshaping, you know, the vision of what we're going for, especially in music. Yeah, no, I understand that. But how is your mental health nowadays?
My mental health nowadays is wonderful. Touch wood. Yeah, you know, I've worked through a lot, and now I live like, we just bought, me and my partner now, I've just bought a tiny house. So I'm in a tiny house. I live up in the Dandenong Ranges on 26 acres. I saw 2 kangaroos, a wombat and an echidna. 2 kangaroos today, an echidna like yesterday, and then a wombat the day before, all within like the house. Like I can look and I'm like, oh my God, in the forest. So that really makes my heart sing, and makes anyone's heart sing. You know, it's nature therapy and it's wonderful. And I'm really blessed, and I'm really grateful that, you know, I live in amongst nature, and you know, I've got a wonderful partner, and I'm doing work that I love, that is meaningful to me, but hopefully meaningful also to other people, and hopefully can shape futures, you know, can shape them in a way, because in my kids, I do like mainly 90s hip hop. Like I just basically just enthrall them with 90s hip hop. I'm like, none of this modern day stuff.
Yeah.
We're just going to go back to the 90s, even though they weren't born in the 90s. But yeah, they hopefully, you know, I'm shaping them through the positive messages, through the music and through the just even through like what I'm saying, my body language and the way that I present myself and the way that I interact with them, you know, by picking people up for all of the things that they're doing well, you know, like amazing. This is a really good answer. How can we think about, you know, I'm curious to know about how we could blah, 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 depending on the age. So, you know, framing things in a really positive way. So, yeah, I hope that I can not only help myself, but help the young children who will grow into adults in the future too.
No, I love that. No, that's beautiful. And also going back to where you are now, being around nature, and I think a lot of people need to be around nature a lot more because I even have this thing where I do every weekend where I would go to because I'm in the western suburbs myself, and there's an area called Bringbank Park, and it's very big. It's very just foresty. It's also, you know, people can have barbecues and stuff like that. You know, I do see kangaroos and little hares as well that run around during the cold morning. You know, and also other birds that I've never seen before. But it's good because that way, you know, you're surrounded by nature. And then because normally I love to have music when I'm walking, but then I thought, no, let's actually absorb nature. Let's absorb the earth. Really, let's really absorb earth. You know, not just, you know, because it blocks everything from, and everything's just quiet and everything. All you hear is trees. You hear birds. You hear, you know, just animals just mingling with each other. And I think that is the thing that kind of helps us mentally to center ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that is music too.
Yeah.
You know, when you're hearing the birds or the ruffling of leaves on the floor, whatever it may be, sound is music. Some sound sounds more harmonious to us than others, but you know, it's still music. It's nature's music, and it's organic in its very rawest form.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, it's depending on if it's the right music, because I think a lot of people have, like, people do listen to music because they obviously feel a certain way and they need to, and obviously I reckon the most beautiful thing about music is that your favorite artists or artists in general have a way to speak words that you can't, and that's when and through music it's like, yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking, that's exactly what I'm feeling right now. And and even with me, like, I'm very picky when it comes to music. Like, I love my old school stuff as well. Like, I love my little bit of 80s, I love my 90s as well. But I do have kind of a library of artists that are storytellers. You know, I love my E40. I love my artists from Texas and the Bay Area, because what I love about the Bay Area specifically is that they are more on the dancey side, very, very like cool groove kind of beats. Yeah. And then you have my other favorite, the Houston rappers, that it's very cruisy, like, you know, because I love cruising in the car myself, especially during nighttime, where I can have my mental health drive, which I did last night actually. And it's just a moment of, you know, cruising down with the slow, but it's very cruisy, and another way of centering myself.
Yeah.
And again, like, and I feel like a lot of people are not listening to these types of storytellers. I feel like they're just hearing what they want to hear with specific words and styles, and then they're not taking a step back and be like, okay, well, how can I be better? How can I be like my favorite artist that was in a situation that I was, and they're actually made it out? Like, how are they doing that? I feel like not many people are doing that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, it depends on, like, I feel like people who musicians and creators and creative people, listen to music through maybe a different lens than the rest of the population may listen to it. So, for example, if you've got like a drummer, he might they might predominantly listen to the drums and not listen to the lyrics when they're listening to music, because the drums to them is the heartbeat and is what really gives it the soul. You know, and you know, lyricists often will listen to the lyrics, and a really deep, meaningful story is what will lure them in. And then other people who, you know, aren't musicians might not even ever might not even be paying attention at all, if you know what I'm saying. So I think, yeah, your background really informs the lens in which you listen to music.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Because I come from a line of musicians myself, where I've got, my father used to be in a band. He did bass guitar, he did acoustic, and my uncle was in a band as well. And also he's done songwriting for Italian, English, as well as French. And yeah,
you've got a whole you've got a whole patrilineal lineage of musicians.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know how to sing myself, but I haven't really brought that to the world because I feel like I'm not as passionate as they were. But I know how to do it. So
yeah,
maybe one day. I've been hanging around a lot of like local rappers and artists as well, and they're kind of, I'll be honest, they're trying to push me to do it, but not in a bad way, but obviously in a good way, because they know that, you know, I have that ability.
You to meet your edge.
Basically, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
you know,
which, you know, it can be a good thing, but it depends on the connection and relationship you have with your friends, often, where you can actually be like, nah, you're pushing me too much, or like,
yeah,
I hear you, thank you for this push.
Yeah. But no, don't get me wrong, I'm open to it. I've even said if I start rapping, then yeah, I'll definitely bring a different flavor to it. So
yeah,
maybe 2025, maybe.
Yeah. Look, you never know what's going to happen next year.
Yeah, I know. Even this year, I didn't even know what was going to happen, but the amount of blessings that have come with it, and there were a little bit of curses, but we moved on from it, and it made us grow as people. So it made me grow as a person.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very blessed and happy with that. Now, tell me about how you constructed the journey of. Hang on. Sorry.
Of FemCee.
Your profile. There you go. Yeah. Like, how did you come to construct the idea of, you know what, I'm an educator for children. I'm also a well-knowledged person of music.
Yeah.
Let's put that together. How did that idea come to you?
I guess it did happen just really organically. So as I said, because I had like many years in the music industry with that former partner, and we were like on big stages in front of a lot. Perform in front of people was already there from just the exposure that I had from my past. And then, as I said, I'd worked in kindergartens, I work in after school clubs, like throughout my history. I've worked in and I've also worked in like holiday programs where I like deliver yoga, or I'll be delivering sports programs, or I'm delivering like mindfulness programs, all different ones. Like I've worked throughout schools here in Australia, delivering programs that I've created, and also in the UK. And so then it was a fairly natural progression to then go to, oh, well, I'm confident in front of kids. Also, I'm really good with kids, which helps. I'm good with kids. I've done so many different, like I've worked with kids in sports, I've worked with kids in mindfulness, in yoga, in fitness, in and also in like small educational pieces, also in kinder, in primary schools, as an integration aid, doing support for kids with ADHD and autism and things like that. because I also work as a disability support worker as well. So I do my kids entertainment and I do my disability support worker, which is also with kids, which is great. So I'm kids all across the board. And so, well, yeah, it was just like, I can do this. And then I just basically dreamed up, like, what's possible? Like, what is possible? What do I love? What do I know I'm good at? And I created something like, you know, everyone says, I'll create something that they will want. But I was also creating for me, not just for the kids. I was creating, obviously I have to have the kids in mind. I'm not going to make, you know, adult content for children. It has to also be age appropriate. I'm not going to teach kinder kids about subtractions and multiplications when they're still 4. You know, it has to be age appropriate, but also something that I would have loved at those various ages. And then I started to think of themes. I'm like, what themes would I have loved to know as kids? I'd love to know about diversity, and I would love to know about inclusion and social awareness and kindness and generosity and compassion. So I was like, I can put these themes into rap songs, and I can also interweave them into the workshops that I do, and to a lesser degree in the kids' parties that I do, in small snippets here and there, because you can't, with small kids, you can't do like an hour, like, you know, workshop on kindness. Like, it has to be fun games, but in there, you just dash in a little sprinkling of kindness or compassion, or you do a song. And then you'll say, afterwards, you have a little Q&A. You're like, well, why is it important to be kind to your friends? And then you get a bit of dialogue going. And so, yeah, that's how all of that happened. Like, background in the music, the background, the confidence that I already had in front of large crowds and people, and also the confidence that I already had working with children of various ages, from kinder up until, like, you know, 11, 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. No, I love that. So you could say that you've always had that confidence basically from early on. Like, there was never any, like, have you ever had any nervous moments?
You mean with the kids or music, or just in general?
Oh, just music in general, even with the kids. Like, have there ever any been nervous moments just in general with these types of things?
Look, like, whenever you do something new, there's always a few nerves. So, like, if I'm doing a new workshop and I'm, you know, beta testing, it's a new one, it's got new content in, there's a few nerves there, but I generally have like a little set list that I can fall back on. And I always just remind myself that these are kids. Yes, they might judge you to a degree, but they've forgotten about it seconds later when, you know, they're playing with their mates. So, yeah, you don't, it's, for me, like, getting nervous in front of kids is not something that happens frequently. Getting nervous with music, you know, when I'm performing in front of crowd, like, I get a few healthy nerves, but I've always just been quite confident in crowds. I'm just lucky that way. I think I'm just wired that way. You know, some people are just wired in different ways. And I feel I'm just wired in that way. But I also, on the flip side, do believe that nerves are healthy, because it shows that you still have passion and you know, like, excitement and drive for what you're doing. Like, if you can just, like, if you become a bit complacent or, you know, blasé about, well, oh yeah, just another show, then to me it's lost its heart and soul. Having those nerves, a little bit of flutter, even if it's just a small one, shows that it's still, your heart's in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's incredible. No, that's good. Now, talk to me about any obstacles or any types of stuff that you kind of deal with, or kind of like negative behavior that you kind of deal with, whether it's from parents or even from kids.
Yeah.
Like, speak on that. Like, because obviously there's always going to be obstacles and little bumps and stuff like that. Has there any been? What kind of obstacles do you go through on a daily that kind of tests you in a way, just to see if you really love what you do? Like, speak on that.
Yeah. So, look, within, like, my kids' entertainment business, FemCee Kids, you know, there'll be kids that don't want to join in. There'll also be kids who have, you know, who have disabilities. So there might be kids there with autism, or kids there who have ADHD, all the other various like presentations. And so, I mean, I work in the disability sector as well, so I do have a lot of tools, and I generally do know how to navigate the situation. That doesn't mean that it's not challenging. Sometimes the parents are speaking really loudly. I'm trying to do a rap song and get the kids up on stage to do their little dancing parts and join in for the chorus, you know, to talk about how fruits and veggies are great for you and things like that. And the parents might be speaking like super loud in the back, and like overpowering my voice or them, and like I don't really want to stop in the middle of the song or pause the song because you ruin the flow, and tell them, look, hey, can you know, so that can be really challenging. Like I've had that before. Sometimes just the dynamics of the room, as you would know as a musician, like if you're in a room, a big space like a hall, the music, the sound can just like be really like wishy-washy, but not in a nice like not in a nice kind of like sexy reverb way, but like more in a kind of like everything just gets lost and feels a bit which can be hard, because if the kids don't totally understand what you're saying, you need to engage with them. You need to have them like, they need to be like engaged. Then once you've lost them, it's hard to reel them back in.
Yeah.
So sometimes just the dynamics of the space, and because the parents book the space, I can guide them. I can say to them, look, hey, it's not the best for vocals, and they'll be like, that's fine, whatever, we still want the space. And at the end of the day, they're the client, they're still paying, so we go with the space. So that, just the dynamics of the space can be a challenge. Yeah, sometimes kids are like, this is boring.
Yeah, that was the answer. I'll be honest, that was the answer I was waiting for. Wait, so how do you deal with that? Like when a kid, obviously kids are being kids, they don't feel like, you know, they're being boring, because obviously with the short attention span as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how do you bring them back in, or do they have to just tolerate it?
Yeah, well, look, there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. Generally, I don't really get that. Like I've had it maybe once or twice. And if the kids are bored, or they're like, and it's usually like one child, so I just go, hey, whatever their name is, that's okay. You are more than welcome to sit out and watch, or go and play outside. But let's for the people who enjoy, for these kids that are really having a good time, it'd be a shame for us to like ruin it for them. So I'm really happy for you to not join in, but let's just, for the other kids, let's just keep it respectful. And then it's always worked that way, that they'll go, okay. And I never force kids to do whatever they don't want to do, because I don't believe in that method. So like, even like when we do the icebreaker, and I get them to like go around the room, they're in a circle and they say their name and they say an action, and I get them to like do a melody. So it might be like, so my name is Shosh, but I do FemCee during the gig because that's my artist name. I go, my name is FemCee, and then they have to copy it. Her name is FemCee, and then there'll be a kid who's too shy to do it. And so I go, that's okay, you don't have to do it, we'll just move to the next person. Also, sometimes you just get like, you know, a kid who likes to like give you a bit of shit because they're a cheeky kid. And then once one does it, it gives the other permission to give shit as well, because you've given one's given a permission to the rest. And then you'll go around and you'll say the names and they'll just go, Pooh-wee! And you're like, wonderful, I'm glad your name's Pooh-wee, we're moving on. And I just like make a joke out of it. And if they want to carry on with Pooh, I'll just roll with Pooh.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what they're going to do, you know, I'm like, at the end of the day, it's a co-creation, right? As long as they're not like being totally chaotic, it's a co-creation. If that's where they want to go and they want to be silly, they're kids. They're going to be silly. Can't expect kids to be adults, you know? Yeah.
But sometimes you can't expect adults to be adults either, which is really crazy in this world too. And even when you're you know teaching the kids about kindness and stuff like that, it's amazing how a lot of adults need to learn about that too.
100%. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be able to tackle it with adults as well as I do with kids. Yeah. Like I've worked with adults before, but in very different ways. But Yeah, because once you're an adult, like so much of your like belief system is like set in your body, and it's a lot of unpacking. It's like unpacking all of the history, unpacking all of the, you know, those negative events that have then formed and shaped your identity. Like be a cynical person, or to be, you know, a a really like pessimistic person, or whatever it may be. Whereas as a kid, you're just much more malleable because you're still shaping and forming and like getting everything in. And also you've not, like, touch wood, and hopefully, you know, you've not been through that much trauma that you haven't developed those like defense protective mechanisms. Which, you know, for the most of the Western world of children, you know, have, you know, at least on a global scale, individually it's a bit different, wouldn't have suffered, you know, mass war or things like that, or, you know.
Yeah, of course. I definitely know what you mean. And again, like I just love what you're doing, because I think it's genius, to be honest. Because again, you're teaching kids about hip hop, and you even like know how to, you know, put popular beats, like even from artists, or like Biggie Smalls, or even Tupac, or you know, you've found a way to kind of like take kind of beats like that and then make it fun. And I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. Like, if I ever have a kids party, we're setting one up for you, definitely.
Yeah. And the thing is, they love it, even though they've never heard this music before, generally, because, you know, they're young kids. When I play my 90s hip hop list, and I'll play like Run DMC and things like that, and Salt and Pepper, you know, and just so much. I often like get them to do a dance battle. So you'll get like, they make names, like you've got 10 seconds to come up with the team name. You've got 10 seconds to come up with team name. You've got two teams, and then one team does a dance off. They like all trying to break dance, get up in your grill, and then the other one, and then you're like, and then the two of them have got a battle, and they put some cones or like a rope in the middle, and then the parents say, yeah, go bananas, go, go.
Yeah.
And the kids absolutely lose their shit. Like, they love it. And they love the music too.
Yeah, no, I love that. So especially when you're trying to obviously sell it to the adults, to obviously get them interested of what you do. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially in Australia, when they hear rap, they always think of like the explicit versions, like and they kind of have they ever kind of very quick to be like, oh no, I don't want my kind of children to be around that, because they're very quick, until you tell them, well, no, I actually do old school 90s hip hop. And does that kind of be difficult sometimes to try to get parents to
I mean, generally, like, I feel that people who are going to, like, if you're a kids entertainer, you're not going to be playing explicit music because you're working with kids. And so I think the parents or the caregivers come in knowing that. It doesn't mean that they won't have preconceived ideas of rap, though. Even if they know that you're not going to be playing explicit music to their kids, because I make sure, like, and most of that 90s music actually doesn't have swear words or like inappropriate sexual themes in there, because it was just much more grassroots back in the day, which is why I also love it. Not to say that you don't have elements of that now, you definitely do, but not on so much on a commercial level. But yeah, like, what I'll tell the parents if they do go, oh, like, so what do you mean by rap? Or they're just like trying to get a picture in the head of like what it might look like. I'll say, well, you know, I've actually created and produced songs that are based on the themes, you know, XYZ, like we've just spoken about, which are like also based on numbers or shapes or letters for the younger kids. And I've put them to these old school 90s beats, and I just rap about these themes, and I have interactive elements where kids can join in either through call and response, which is great, because also I'm getting that 90s call and response, and I often do, when I say dinner, you say dinner, and they love that. Like, I'll say, like, we do opposites, you know, when I say black, you say white. When I say green, you say grass. When I say sun, you say moon.
Yeah.
And it gets them thinking quickly because like it's also like educational. They're thinking, oh, what's the opposite of sun? It's moon. But they've also got to think quick on their feet, and they've got to do it in rhythm to the beat. You know, because there's background music. I'm not just doing that a cappella. I'm doing it to a background music, and sometimes there's a beat in between. So it'd be like, when I say sun, you say moon. Sun, moon, sun, moon.
Yeah.
So they'll have to like learn to like miss a beat like as well.
They have to get comfortable with the flow of the music itself. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when I'm teaching them all these things, I'm actually also teaching them to feel into the heartbeat and the rhythm of music, not necessarily through an academic lens, but just through the embodied like perspective of like doing and being in it. Like, for example, when I do like, so you know, like the game Simon Says.
Yes.
So I do FemCee Says, and I do all the moves as hip hop moves. So I do like FemCee Says, do the robot, do the sprinkler, you know. I do like really obscure out of the box things for them to do that aren't like touch your head. Might have a couple of touch heads, like slide to the side. We do like hip hop moves whilst they do it, you know, dust off the shoulders. So you got some classic like hip hop dance moves in there. And I also do teach them a little bit about hip hop at the beginning, like what is hip hop, what does it mean? And I do that to a backing track, an instrumental backing track. So I'll do like FemCee Says, touch, you know, FemCee Says, hands in the air like you just don't care. And I'm doing that in rhythm to the music. So they've got a backing track, they've got me giving them instructional rap at the same time as going in time to the music, and then they've got to follow. So it's like just this amalgamation of just like music, embodied feeling, rhythm, education, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I love that. So, and thank you for saying that. You know, you do teach them like what hip hop is, because there would have been kids that wouldn't know what hip hop is, and like how do you introduce it to them before? Did you do it before? Like obviously the songs come on.
Yeah, like at the very beginning, once we've done the icebreaker and everyone's gone round and said their names, and I've introduced myself and the expectations, you know, like, you know, those expectations that you need to say with kids. I'll say, like, can anybody tell me different styles of dancing? Can anybody tell me different styles of music? And this depends on the age range. Like if they're like in the 3-year-old, 4-year-old, they might just say Justin Bieber. Like, can you tell me a style of music? They'll say Justin Bieber, or like Ariana Grande, or, you know, things like that. And even the older ones sometimes don't know different styles of music, but sometimes, and dance, but sometimes they'll be like, classical ballet, tap dance, jazz, and I'll be like, are there any other kinds of music? And they'll be like, hip hop. And I'm like, cool, yeah, hip hop. And I'm like, does anybody know what hip hop is? To the older ones. For the younger ones, I don't ask them because it's just too young. And the way that I explain it is really basic. I tell them it's like storytelling with their body and with their voice. Because hip hop is obviously through different mediums. And when it first came through that breakdancing era, it was the storytelling through their bodies with breakdancing is also part of hip hop. And then also eventuated into telling stories, rhythm and poetry, rap with music. And so I break it down in that really simple way of like, it's telling stories with our body and with our voice. And that's a way that they can really like go, okay, yeah, I can grasp that. Like tell a story with my body, tell a story with my voice.
Yeah. No, I love that. No, that's good. Now, I want to step aside the parties that you do for a moment, because you were a part of the town, as in the event, town. Did you go to that? How did that opportunity come about?
I just applied, and I did two gigs there. There's another thing I do, which I don't know if you know. So I did my FemCee. I did a 90s block hip hop party for kids, which was great. It kicked off. And then I also did, so I run every week, once a week, I run these exercise fitness events called Drum and Bass Exercise, which is basically Dance aerobics, I've created all the dance moves. They're kind of like a cross between aerobics, fitness, and dance moves to the rhythm of drum and bass. And I also rap the instructions whilst exercising at the front. So it's a kind of hardcore workout. And it's very cardio based. So it'd be like, yeah, squat, squat, get down to the ground. You're listening to the drum and bass sound. Like, so as we're actually squatting at the same time. But I decided to do a hip hop-ercise. So I did a whole 90s hip hop exercise class, which also kicked off. It was great. I had a massive turnout, which was basically, exercising to the rhythm of hip hop beat with my like signature dance aerobics. And then, just kind of to the best of my ability, like giving those instructions to the rhythm of the beat as well.
Okay. No, I love it. And how was the energy of the people when you were performing? Yeah, because I did see clips of it. Because I do some of the friends of mine that actually were performing at the town as well. And it again, it's just surrounded by like nature and stuff like that, and we see trees everywhere. From what I saw, anyway.
It's out. Yeah, it's very much. I mean, it did rain quite hardcore the first day, and that was quite a struggle when you've got, tents and water coming in. However, aside from that, when the sun came out and it all dried up, it was, it was family friendly. It was inclusive. It was fun. More than anything, it was playful. It was interactive and playful. Everyone's playing a role. People were dressed up and they would stay as that role. And it was very much like a place where your inner child can just bounce free.
Yeah. No, I love that. No, I've always loved that, because I feel like we need to be in a place where we can just be. I mean, look, I've always said that we need to be unapologetically ourselves, but I think also we need to have like a space sometimes where the inner child, because we always have that inner child in us 100%. That just wants to be free, because I've always felt that, like, we didn't really ask to be here. We've always loved our childhood, especially because I'm a 90s baby myself, so growing up with like Super Nintendo and obviously 90s hip hop, being introduced to that, and Nintendo 64 as well, and that type of stuff. And then now we have to be adults and pay bills and that.
All of the mundane and the spontaneity.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it's very important. Like, my inner child is a very important part of my life personally. Like, I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 81.
Okay.
But but obviously, like, I was growing through the 90s. The whole thing with being in touch with your child, for me, it's important that adults do it. I mean, obviously, I'm not here to tell people what to do. For me, it's important, but I do think it's important anyways for society as a whole, because like the things that lit you up as a kid, right, will often still light you up now. Not all of them, right? Not all of them, obviously, but that like unapologetic nature to just like, oh, there's something I want to do, I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? And we lose that as an adult because we think things through and the pros and the cons and the, and yes, like, I'm not saying abolish responsibilities or be, what's the word I'm looking for? A liability to yourself or to others. But also, like, if you want to roll down the grass, if you want to roll down a hill and you're 43 like me, roll down that hill, climb that tree.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Eat that ice cream.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah, I'll do it right now as well. Hold hands with your friends and skip around the tree. Like, do what brings you joy.
Yeah.
Because ultimately,
of course.
Those things that bring you joy, it's actually, joy's infectious. It really is. Like, whether you like it or not, even to those cynical people, joy is infectious.
It is. That's right. But it takes a real person that really feels the joy and not afraid to bring it out to create that infection of joy.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that I think it also depends on the adult as well, because you do have the ones that feel like they miss being a child, but they're scared to bring that child out of them because whether it's because of culture or religion, yes. So I was just going to say that religion as well. You know, it just kind of ruins it because it's like, well, when you're a kid, you can do kid things, and then when you're an adult, you have to do adult things, and we just leave it at that.
Yeah.
You can't cross it, bro.
Yeah, God
People think of you're mature and you're immature. Like
Yeah.
you don't take life seriously.
Yeah.
When reality, it's like the adults are not taking life seriously. Sorry, they're not taking
Yeah.
like yeah. I did say that right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like it. Yeah, I think we just really need to reevaluate how we want our kids for the future to be like, okay, well, yes, just as you were saying before, you know, we can't ignore the responsibilities. We have to, you know, go to get a job and pay bills and stuff like that. But we have to make the time to do what we love doing that brings us joy.
Exactly, yeah. And then, you know, when you're giving to other people, you're not giving from that like a place of void or a place of emptiness. You're actually giving, like you've filled your cup, so to speak, and you're like, cool. You know, now I can give to these kids. Now I can give through my music to others, you know, whatever that may be. And, you know, the world very much wants to be in this black and white, but like nothing's black or everything's a spectrum. Everything is nuanced. And even though, you know, I know like the world today wants to see things in black and white, it never really is, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's always, and it never
Never.
will be. It's always a spectrum. So yeah, you can have both. You can actually just have anything that you choose to, really. You can choose to be however you want to be. It's a choice.
Yes, exactly right. No, exactly right. Well, I think I've got everything covered, actually.
Yeah.
Unless
It's been such an amazing time talking to you. I've really enjoyed it.
no, thank you. I try
Thank
because
you.
and well, is there anything you wanted to ask me while we're
Yeah,
here?
I'd love to know how you got, well, first of all, like, when did you get into podcasting? What made you decide to get into podcasting?
Yeah.
We'll start there.
Okay.
Not too many questions.
Okay. So originally I didn't call this a podcast. I called this a talk show because
Okay.
because I felt like with podcasts everyone's just talking, you know, just randomly, like no one's really, you know, having because and everything has to be subjugated. It's
Yeah.
like for me, it's like because the whole purpose of this show is that I interview a lot of creatives that either love doing what they're doing or they just have a passion of something, and they come on my show and really just explain, you know, what they're doing with their life, or obviously the obstacles that they go through, because it's breaking from the norm of the typical 9 to 5, which I've always believed that the world is too big for that. The world is way too big for that. Like every single person in this world has a gift, and I feel like we've been brainwashed for many years, just being working a 9 to 5 for 40, 50 years or whatever, and then you retire that, and then when you're old and tired, that's when you do whatever you want, but that
Yeah.
energy is very limited because of the age. So and then nowadays, you know, you've got people that are creating and changing the world, you know, and they come on this show to really just explain, you know, how they do it, really. And it just makes me, and it brings me joy as well, because knowing that I'm not the only one that wants to be on the creative side, like because I've done voice acting as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then people have always said that I've got that radio kind of TV personality
Yeah.
as well. I don't know if you've noticed or not. I don't know, but
Yeah.
and that's where I thought this was an idea, because during 2020 and obviously when we were shutting down, everyone was starting to do everything digitally, and this was
Yes.
around the same time where obviously Instagram made that update where you can actually join on lives now. So that's where I was like, okay, cool. This has turned into an idea, because I originally did this show through a media organization, and this was 2000 and late 2018 to the early 2019.
Yeah.
And then when everything started going to shit, basically, from politics and backstabbing and people owing money, that typical conversation, and I just decided to go my own way. And that's where obviously doing Instagram lives like this gave me basically opened the door to a lot of opportunities and gave me the opportunity to interview some of my favorite artists as well, which still is one of my greatest joys and one of my greatest blessings, as well as and obviously building a lot of connections, not just from here, but also from the US as well.
Amazing.
And it's now gave me the motivation to create, like, to manifest like a tour, like in Real Talk with Labzy tour in the next few years, to go obviously get out in the world and really just interview other people as well around the world.
Oh, do it internationally.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, go you.
Yeah.
I love this.
Thank
for
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then and again, like it's just I've learned so much from these people. I've even learned from you as well with your genius of what you do. So thank you for that, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And then again, like it just shows that it also because I used to hang out with a lot of like closed-minded, very judgmental people, and what I didn't realize is that I was kind of being like them as well. Even when I didn't want to be like that, I was being like that. So
yeah, because we rub off.
Yeah.
Like without realizing it, you become a bit of a product of those people you're closest to. Even when you don't, even when that's not your intention, even when you're like not set out like, oh, they're this way, I'm going to be this way. It actually just starts manifesting in you, and you're like, hold on, I don't want to choose this.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I made that decision. I'm like, no, I got to reevaluate the people that I hang out with. I got to really learn to evolve and be better in order to do better. Really, to really be better, surrounded by better people. And because it is that saying, you are who you hang out with. So that's why I had to make that change.
So you did,
and then,
a bit of a 360, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You changed. I mean, that's quite big. Like changing your friendship circle to make that a choice that those people aren't serving me or where I want to go for the future and who I am being now. That's huge.
Yeah. Because it was one of those things where I would, because there was a time where like I was on part of my lower side, right? And it was crazy is that it was to a point where I would either be alone with my thoughts or I hang out with people or I know that are bad for me. You know? And then you realize, and what's crazy is that there's pros and cons with both sides, but at the same time, it's not helping me grow.
No.
So that's why I had to make the decision to be like, no, I need to be surrounded by open-minded people. I need to give things a chance. I need to, because I'll be honest with you, even with the Aussie hip hop as well, like probably 2-3 years ago, I was closed-minded, very judgmental, even like onwards for all that. But then I thought to myself, you know what? No, I need to give this a chance, talk to these people, and actually see if it's not for me, it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, I still have my taste in music, which, you know, I have that for me. And if I can share it with other people, and it just wows me on, because again, like even with my music, I couldn't even share my music with the closed-minded people. They were very too quick to be judgmental, saying, "Oh, what's that?" You know, turn that off and that type of stuff. But then I would hang out with the people that I'm hanging out with now. They're like, oh, yeah, I know about this artist. I know about E40. I was listening to one of their songs the other day. And it blew my mind. And I'm just like, and mind you, these are local artists in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, like, yes, I found my tribe. Like, yes, I found my tribe. That's what I'm looking for.
How amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it makes such a difference, like, trying to seek common ground as opposed to, you know, trying to pick apart and like find the ways that we're separate as opposed to the ways where we can actually connect.
Yeah. And I think it just takes time. Once we find our tribe, then we just stick to that. You know, no one's going to be perfect, of course, but you know, whatever will come our way will come our way. And if they stay, they stay. They go, they go.
Yeah. 100%. But being open to just listen.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Yes. I try to, and that was also another thing. Like I needed to learn to, and this was really good for my show as well, to learn to actually listen and also engaging conversation, reflective listening, and that really helps with the show as well. And I felt like going from the very first interview that I did with my man Marlon from Minneapolis, who does graphic design as well as he's also a security guard. He seeing for that interview from now is just absolutely different, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, because you've evolved.
Yes,
and grown.
exactly.
Yeah, go
So,
you! Yeah,
thank you.
I prefer to be a cheerleader. So
Yeah. Oh,
yay.
thank you. I need more of them, to be honest. I probably need 100 of you then. To be
You've got to be your own cheerleader too. But yeah, I'll cheer you
yes,
on
that's
too.
right. That's absolutely right. But yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Well, there is, but I'm conscious of my battery about to die.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do. Maybe we'll just do just a very quick
Yes.
intro into like how you got into music specifically. What, like, I know that you said that you come from a musical family on your dad's side, and the patriarchal, I don't know how to say it. There's maybe not anal, maybe that's not the right word. I know there's matriarchal for the mom,
Yep.
but it's not patriarchal because that's like not quite the right word.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll just say dad's side.
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
Yeah, like, have you always been into hip hop? Like, when did you first discover hip hop? I know that you've got specific hip hop that you like you talked about. Yeah.
I wouldn't remember the actual. I think it was the very first hip hop song I heard was Tupac was Changes. I think that was the very first song that I ever heard of. Yeah, exactly, because that was the song that was playing on the radio. So which kind of surprised me, and then I really kind of jammed to that, but obviously, you know, my parents, because I'm Middle Eastern myself, because I'm Egyptian myself, right? So my parents were very strict on, you know, what we listen to and stuff like that, you know, just of the bad influence. So and then, but I think as I got older, like I would listen to a lot of songs that were very popular and stuff like that, But then the very first song that made me fall in love, especially with the Bay Area type music, was E40's "You and That" with T-Pain, and that was when, like, again, like this was during the crunk era in 2003 with Lil Jon and the East Side Boys.
I remember this.
Yeah, and that's when I was just like, wow, this is so cool. And that's when I started to really. But what separated me from everyone else was everyone was focused on the most popular people, like things that were shown on MTV and stuff like that. But then I thought to myself, no, I want to listen to something different. You know, I felt like everyone was mentioning the same things. Everyone was talking about either sex or drugs or clubs and stuff like that. But I thought, no, I need something different. Like, I can't. And what changed the game forever for me, and I really want, and to be honest, I recommend this song for you as well.
Maybe
it's
put
called
it in the chat.
Yes,
message me it afterwards, and I can.
Hang on,
because otherwise I'll forget.
Yeah, that's okay. It's "That's Gangsta" by Bun B featuring Sean Kingston.
I mean, it already sounds like I would like this song.
And to be honest with you, the lyrics have been so fresh. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Because the first time I heard it, I was thinking to myself, what is this? Like, you know, when you taste a burger and like you just for the first time and you think, what is this? I just want to eat all of it right now without chewing. Right? Yeah. It's basically that, and obviously, and that became I want to show you some lyrics as well. Okay. Just to give you an example of what I mean.
So this is from that specific song?
Yes.
Yeah.
And hang on, sorry.
So what year was this?
This song
what year was it come
this
out?
was made in 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he would say, man, I'm a gangster, Gangsta, man, a gangster, the best to come out of PA, as in Port Arthur, Texas, that's where he's from. a gangster, the seldom seen, but always heard. A real gangster, more than just a 7-letter word. A gangster ain't your clothes, ain't your hat, your watch, ring, your chain. No, a gangster ain't that. So yeah, I'll give you the full lyrics. Sorry, I had to kind of like read it out while but I'll give
I
you.
get it.
Yeah,
He's
but-
basically, I understand what he's saying in
yeah,
that small snippet chorus.
yeah. So he's basically saying that a gangster is not just everything that you wear; it's here.
Yeah.
And that's when everything changed, opened up the door to different types of artists, Bun B, Lil Kiki, Paul Wall, Slim Thug, Zero, Trey the Truth, all of them, like they'll just it made me fall in love.
Because it's like a rabbit hole, isn't it? You get exposed to one, and that's before the algorithm was a thing.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, because this is way before when YouTube was YouTube.
Back in the day, the person had to be the algorithm by searching.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. Awesome.
But I love that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And I
this conversation.
And I love this conversation. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you had fun on this here as well.
Yeah.
And so we will wrap it up because I know your battery's dying. So I'll try to wrap it up really fast. So I want to say thank you so much, and I will say this to every person and every guest that I have is that I define a successful person in a particular way. I don't do it to the society way because it makes no sense. That anyone that's chasing their dreams, chasing their goals, and they are getting results, whether they're minor or major, and they're growing as a person through it, then you are a successful person. So you are a successful person, FemCee.
Yes, thank you. I agree on the definition of success too.
Thank you.
All right.
Much love. And I want to say thank you for the people that have joined in as well. This will be up on YouTube as well as Spotify now. And we are at the season final of Real Talk with Labzy. I will let everybody know 2025 guests, so on, blah, 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 blah. So FemCee, thank you so much again. You enjoy the rest of your day and keep shining for the kids.
I will. Mwah. Peace out, everyone. Much love.
Right, bye.
Real talk with Labzy, we speaking the truth from the streets to the booth, giving voice to the groove, no holding back. Every combo's the proof. It's the realest in the game. Now we raising the roof. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy.